I want to end that terrible cycle of dieting all week, starving Monday through Friday, then overeating when you go out for dinner on Friday night, only to feel guilty all weekend and start over on a diet on Monday. Nope, we're not doing that. We're going to stop that trend right now. So, being healthy, eating well, and enjoying eating out, supporting local restaurants, both of those things can absolutely exist at the same time. It's one of my favorite things to do, to be honest. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the PreDiet Podcast. I am your host, Ali Virtue, functional medicine nutritionist and owner of Parkside Nutrition. So, first of all, if you are new to this podcast, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could follow this podcast, share an episode, leave a review, leave a comment, leave a question. If you want a specific topic covered, you can email me, Ali, A-L-I, at parksidenutrition.com, and I would love to turn your question into a topic here. Next, please subscribe to the Free Shit Friday email list. This is at parksidenutrition.com/subscribe, and you will get free nutrition resources delivered to your inbox every single Friday. Plus, you'll get instant access to the exclusive subscriber library, so you can see previous topics that have been covered, previous training tools, downloads, meal plans, so much information there. So don't miss out on that. parksidenutrition.com/subscribe. All right, let's get into the show. This is my pre-flight checklist, if you will, for how to eat out and do it without derailing your health or nutrition goals. I want to end that terrible cycle of dieting all week, starving Monday through Friday, then overeating when you go out for dinner on Friday night, only to feel guilty all weekend and start over on a diet on Monday. Nope, we're not doing that. We're going to stop that trend right now. So, being healthy, eating well, and enjoying eating out, supporting local restaurants, both of those things can absolutely exist at the same time. It's one of my favorite things to do, to be honest. So, let's get into this pre-fight checklist. And if you've listened for any of my other podcast episodes, then you know I am not the type to just feed you, pun intended, generic, quote, right answers. I usually start with questions, and together we're going to find the right answers and strategies for you. This is exactly what I do with clients. I don't always have the perfect answers for what they need for their situation. So usually we start with a question, have some conversation, and we usually arrive at a really great spot and a really great compromise that they can usually do forever and ever. And that's true sustainability. Okay, so number one, when I am thinking about going out to eat, maybe this evening or the next day, I'm thinking about how well did I feed myself either today or this week? And that's trying to get an insight kind of into my cravings. Am I feeling underfueled? And this is mostly a note for me to just be extra aware because it might be really easy for me to overeat. If I've had a really just wacky week, maybe my body just needs a generally balanced meals to feel its best going forward. But just ask yourself that. How well have you done recently? What might my body really need? Number two on my list is how hungry am I? Am I super hungry? Did I get enough protein today? Did I get enough fiber today? Am I not hungry at all? That could absolutely be the case. In that case, maybe I just want something small to eat while we're enjoying the experience, creating memories with friends, family. Maybe food just isn't that special in that particular scenario. That's totally fine too. Quite often, it's more about the people than what's on the plate. So I kind of touched on this one a little bit already, but what does my body need today? So in that scenario, think back to what you ate earlier in the day or maybe the day before, if this is like a breakfast or a brunch, but am I low on fiber? Have I had some plants recently? Have I had some veggies, some protein? Did I pay attention to my nutrition bills lately? And when I say nutrition bills, have I given my body the nutrition it needs to function optimally, right? Just like if you were going to go shopping for something, did I pay my rent first? Did I pay my mortgage first? Like those bills need to be paid before we get to spend on the fun stuff, right? Same thing with nutrition. Let's be responsible. Let's be kind to our body, give it a good place to live, etc. Our body does a lot of cool things for us. So it needs to function well. And what it needs to function well is those nutrients, those vitamins, those minerals. We can absolutely work the fun foods in that don't necessarily give us better health, but those should come in addition to the foods that make us feel good mentally and feel good physically. I would also ask myself, how are my stress levels? If my stress is really high, this is again just a reminder to be extra aware that this might be a really easy situation to overeat on. And if that is a feeling we don't like, just be really mindful to stop eating before you feel too full. Maybe tell yourself, hey, I'm going to check in about halfway through my plate and see if I need the rest, or maybe I can save it for later. Be sure to incorporate some non-food related stress reduction strategies also into your routine. This will take the pressure off of having like perfect nutrition. I don't think perfect nutrition really exists, but This will take off a lot of pressure of our food, trying to get our meals right. If we are exercising, if we're sleeping, if we're managing our stress in other outlets, it makes food go a lot easier. This could be a walk. This could be making sure we get to the gym, taking a rest day if we need to, catching up on sleep, whatever you need to lower those stress levels. See if you can address that. My next question is, what result would I like at the end of this event? Do I want some fun food today, or am I okay with a fairly routine, can still be delicious, but fairly routine meal? I want you to keep the focus on your particular goal for this occasion. Like I said before, is the occasion more about the people, catching up with friends, talking, connecting, doing something fun, like an activity? Is that the main focus, or is it about the food? And it's okay if it's about the food. I mean, for my birthday, it's really helpful to celebrate with cake. And if that's the occasion, cake is included, right? It's expected. And if that's what you want, focus on that. That is absolutely fine. That can be a part of the picture. But if the goal is, I want to feel my best, what does your body need to make that goal happen? Right? If this is your friend's birthday, a distant friend, a distant cousin, I don't know. If they're not terribly close and the restaurant that's chosen is not terribly special, maybe we just order a general meal. That can be absolutely fine too. But like I said, if it's something like I want to enjoy birthday cake, then go for it. I will say that I think we have more control over things than we tend to think. Even if it's my birthday, I don't want to be unnecessarily mean to my body. I can have a small, nourishing meal that I like, that I still enjoy, and I can also have cake. It's not completely one or the other, black and white, on the wagon, off the wagon type of thing. That's the thing we're trying to dismantle here with this whole pre-diet podcast thing. We are trying to truly create sustainable habits. And I think fulfilling my needs, in my opinion, can be both those things. I can have a nourishing meal and I can also have cake, but this really depends on the particular scenario. But I'd also say make up your mind and then do it without guilt. There's no need to feel guilt, right? It's just not very useful. And I would much rather people focus on letting that go, moving on with their day, owning their decisions, and just carrying on and looking to the future to how they can keep caring for themselves in a positive way. All right, so you have that goal in mind. How do I get from A to B, getting the results I want and feel the way that I want to feel in a few hours, right? What should I order to fit that current goal? Would I feel better getting some movement in earlier in the day or maybe walking after the meal? This is not a I need to earn my calories type of thing. This is not a nothing tastes as good as skinny feels type of thing. I've seen those posters on Pinterest and semi-motivational things, and I don't want those negative thoughts to creep in to our heads. We are trying to make new positive thought patterns combined with our knowledge of nutrition. I'll say that again. We are trying to make new positive thought patterns combined with our knowledge of nutrition. That knowledge gives us power to make more or better empowered decisions that we can kind of own and move on, right? So keep that in mind. What do you need to do? How do you want to feel in a couple hours? A lot of people will say, "Oh, I had to go out to eat and I had to order this, and hence I felt bloated." I'm like, if you wanted to order that, fine, absolutely go for it. But if you didn't want to feel bloated and the occasion was not that special, maybe just order a steak salad or something simple, or whatever you need to order to know that, like, hey, this food is most likely going to make me feel pretty good. I'm going to stop before I'm full and I feel great afterwards. Think about that. What do you need to do to get the results that you want, even in the short term? Okay, now we'll get a little bit into the strategy. So think, do I want to look up the menu ahead of time, or am I okay with just winging it? It depends on the person. A lot of people think I'm going to endlessly strategize and look up the menu ahead of time and say, this is under 600 calories. Make sure you order this to keep your calories in check. I don't really get that detailed in the sense of I'm not telling a person necessarily to stay underneath a certain calorie amount for that meal. I think it's helpful to look over the menu, and it's educational to look at, what meals might be flagged as under 600, under 700. Honestly, eating out can just be really big portions or added calories as far as oil. So I would look at it for an educational purposes, but it depends on the person. If they are really honed in on the weight loss goal, that can be helpful information. I usually like to look up the menu ahead of time because I'm usually just incredibly curious as a foodie, and I want to see what's on offer. And so I can kind of plan what I want. And if they have really good desserts, I would love to know. And then I can order a maybe reasonable sized portion of the meal and then save room for dessert. I would just like to be informed, basically. And I'm also usually looking for gluten-free, dairy-free options for my husband, so I can make sure that everyone in my family and their nutrition needs are catered to, or they can find something to eat. So I'm usually looking for it in that sense of just being curious, just wanting to be aware, informed. But I think this is a useful habit, and mostly if this is a newer, healthy habits are newer to you, eating well is newer to you, it's again just educational, just like reading labels is educational. So you learn what food is made out of. So you can just be more informed and make better decisions ahead of time before we get into that situation. You're like, I'm just so hungry. I don't care. I'm going to order this, right? So it can be a helpful skill for some people. Nowadays, I feel pretty comfortable not planning ahead. I can usually make any option work. Plus, my circle of people are usually aware that I'm not really going to go to an ultra processed, or I'm not going to enjoy an ultra processed fast food place like McDonald's or Burger King or something like that. So, and plus, most of my family have certain issues as far as like preferring gluten-free and stuff like that. So, if I'm honest, I've stopped seeing those particular food establishments as an option for eating with my family. Just given everybody's health history and parameters, that food, even if calorie controlled, even if you're serving or eating moderate portions, it just doesn't make them feel good. So it's just not really on our radar anymore. And honestly, that makes it really easy because we just don't even see it as an option. So your decisions are limited, your options are limited in a positive sense of it doesn't take much motivation to not utilize those places. Okay, if you are looking at the menu ahead of time, I'm usually looking for a protein source. I'm looking for something that has a lot of colorful, non-starchy, so not super high carb plants, to fill most of my plate. Those are my top two things. And obviously, I want something to taste good, some starchy carbohydrates in a moderate amount, usually just because carbs are everywhere. There's just multiple sources of them in one meal sometimes. So just being aware of that. But I do want to enjoy the meal, preferably. So that is an okay thing. That should be a part of your criteria as well. And then I would also say, kind of going back to the starchy carb point, not to be careful not to double or triple carb your meal. So what that means, for example, if I'm going to get a burger, it might have a bun, it might have a side of fries, there could be bread as an appetizer, there could be corn as a quote vegetable side. And all of those are carbohydrate sources. So maybe instead of having all of those, I'm just going to moderate the multiple types if I want to enjoy a little bit of all of those. Or maybe I'll just choose one that I really enjoy. So this could be getting a bunless burger and a side salad. And maybe if I really like the place and their fries, I'm going to share the fries with the table. Another little tip here is serving or moving your portion that you want to serve yourself of fries, if you're having a shared plate, onto your plate. And this allows you to have some sort of gauge of how much you're eating versus just taking from the general shared plate, which is kind of hard to visualize. And so we usually tend to overeat a little bit more in that scenario because we don't have a visual cue of like, oh my gosh, I've eaten half the plate. It's just eating from a really large plate, right? This is the same kind of thing with eating from a big bag of chips. It's hard to gauge, like, have I eaten a serving? Well, there's still some left in the bag versus eating a single serving, portion. It's usually much more moderate, right? So this is particularly helpful if you have trouble stopping eating when you're full or almost full. If you find it really easy to overeat, this would be great. If you're quite good at that particular mindful eating skill, carry on. Another tip could be cutting the burger in half. Again, getting to the halfway point, and that way you're having half the bun and see if you are hungry for the rest of it, or maybe taking it home for another day. But there are lots of examples like this, but just in general, being mindful of the portions, what you're choosing, what your food is made out of. And so you can make informed decisions that way because increasing protein, increasing fiber, getting those variety of colorful plants, usually, again, more nutrition, and then also less likely to overeat because it is fairly filling. Okay, another little bit of strategy here for you. Order of eating really counts as well. So order of which you eat your food also can really have a positive impact on your blood sugar levels. So ideally eating plants and protein first, and then some fats, and your starchy carbohydrates like bread, rice, pastas, things like that last. This greatly helps reduce the rapid rise of your blood sugar and helps those, particularly people with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or someone who's just watching their blood sugar in general. Maybe your doctor has highlighted, hey, your blood sugar, your fasting blood sugar, or your hemoglobin A1C, which is your average blood sugar for the last 3 months, is increasing. Keep an eye on your carbohydrate consumption, etc. This can also be for people that have other conditions that I didn't mention. PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, also has an endocrine component, and quite often those people can suffer with higher blood sugars or be more predisposed to, in the future, developing type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. So lots of people with different conditions could be still watching their blood sugar for other reason, but this is a great strategy. So even if we are consuming some fun foods or some higher carb foods, this is a way to still moderate that. And again, through the lens of trying to be kind to our body and help it out in the best possible way. We can still eat the carbs, but maybe we eat them in a different order. So again, our body is a little bit less stressed out by our particular dietary choices. And this also goes for having dessert. So maybe we have dessert right after the meal or kind of with a meal. And that way it's not just on its own, isolated as kind of like a sugar hit to our system. If there's a smarter way to kind of incorporate that stuff, I'm all for it. Another thing you can do is walking after meals. So even just 10-minute leisurely walk around the block can really help digestion, and it can help lower blood sugars as well. Love this tip. Absolutely love it. I think this is also helpful for mindful eating because if I know I have to go for a walk after a meal, I'm probably not going to eat as much. So I don't have to walk around the block feeling, excessively bloated or too full or uncomfortable or anything like that. So kind of multiple points of benefit for that particular habit. All right, summary of this approach. Number one, how well have I eaten today? Check in with that. Do I want to have some fun food, or do I want a routine, nourishing meal that also tastes good? That's possible too. Is this event special? How much does food really contribute to this event or memory? Or maybe it's just something that I need to focus on the people. Do I want to pre-plan it, or am I okay with winging it in the moment? You decide. Do I want to look up the place ahead of time? And if so, what kind of meal am I looking for? Be kind to your body as much as possible. Take care of yourself as much as possible most of the time. And these occasional events are not going to be a big deal. Go for a walk, drink your water, get your rest, modify, lifestyle factors so you can absolutely manage your stress in a positive way. Give your body some good nutrition most of the time, and we'll be fine. Try to get away from that all or nothing mindset. Be kind, move on, take care of your body, and it'll all be okay. All right, lastly, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, follow it, subscribe to the email list, parksidenutrition.com/subscribe. Please leave a comment, leave a review if you're enjoying this podcast. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate you being here and listening. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.